Welcome back to Void City Customs. I am Dan, and today we are going to be looking at a figure I've been working on for a very, very long time. This is actually the first custom figure I ever started working on. I've thought it was finished many, many times, and every single time something else came up where I thought, oh, I could add this to them or change this or make it better. Well, I think I'm finally done, and here it is. I am calling this one Monster Hunter Batman, in honor of one of my favorite games to play called Monster Hunter, which has been a series from Capcom going back for decades now at this point. I've been playing it on PSP, PS2, PS4, PC, Nintendo DS. I don't know, this game has been all over the place, and I've played pretty much every single one of them. I love the game, and I started thinking, hey, wonder what Batman would look like if he were ever in this game. So kind of made this guy with all different pieces of armor from all different figures, and this is what I came up with. This is pretty much exclusively McFarlane parts, other than one teeny tiny little piece which can be used or not used. That's up to you guys if you ever want to make something like this. Everything else has been put together through different sorts of kit bashing and different surgeries and altering these pieces in order to make new ones. This is still pretty much a near 100% McFarlane Toys custom figure, so that's pretty cool. I kept within my goal of making it almost entirely McFarlane if I can help it. So let's break down some of the pieces of this figure. Let's take a look, all right? So the weapons I have here, there is an axe that comes from an old McFarlane Kiss action figure, and the spear actually comes from a new Page Puncher's Robin Facing the Winter, or whatever the hell those things are called. I got that guy, and this is the spear he had, so I thought that worked well. And this axe is pretty cool. It's got like a bone on the bottom. That's pretty awesome. Comes from a Kiss action figure, and I don't know which one exactly. I found it in my brother's garage. He said I could use it, so that's pretty cool. That's where those came from. As for the figure himself, he's got some weapons on him. I have some weapons here. These actually came from a Ninja Turtles action figure from way back in the day probably, or even more recently, I'm not sure. I believe it was maybe from the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtle line. Anyways, you can use a whole bunch of different ones for those. I used little picture hangers actually that I just screwed right into the sides of this belt and hung those there. And the knife here also comes from the Page Puncher Robin figure, and this looks really cool. It's another bone tip knife. Looks like something you'd have in Monster Hunter. I like that. That's pretty cool. So I'm just going to list off all the figures I used to make this guy before getting into how it was built. First, we've got the Detective Comics 1000 Batman. I used just the mouth from that figure. That's it. Next, we've got the Curse of the White Knight Azrael armored Batman figure. I used a lot of pieces from him. After that, we've got the Death Metal Batman with the trench coat there. I used arms and legs from that figure, as well as the emblem. We've got a Mortal Kombat Baraka figure here. I used a piece of the belt that goes around his waist. And lastly, we have the Merciless Build-A-Figure. I used the waist for that figure and also a piece of the fur that goes up around his shoulders. All right, now let's get into how I made this figure. This might take a little bit. Let's see if I can remember all this stuff here. All right, guys? So we've got a lot of things going on here with this guy. This is many different figures from over the years. So you've got pieces from the White Knight Batman Azrael. You've got the mouth from the Detective Comics 1000 Batman. This is a head that I custom made by putting those two pieces together. I cut the mouth out of the White Knight Azrael face, and I glued in the Detective Comics chin right there. I also went around the back and glued in this strip back here just to extend the back of it down and make it look a little bit more like a helmet, so it also blocks the back of the neck there. The shoulder spikes and the chest piece and midsection are all from the White Knight Azrael Batman as well, and those are pretty much unchanged, other than I cut the big spikes off here and painted those silver where they used to be. And I actually took the emblem from the Death Metal Batman, the one with the trench coat, painted it silver and riveted it onto the chest right here. So that's what these are. These are little picture hanging nails that are all drilled in and gone through there to help hold it in place and also make it look a little bit more like some armor. Around his back here, we actually have a removable piece. This is the fur from the back of the Merciless, if you remember that. And these two gold pegs sticking out of the top are actually from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures from NECA. It was from Leonardo, and they were the base of his sword handles. I had two of that figure, so I just popped these out of there and I popped them in here because there was holes there from a piece of the original Merciless figure I didn't end up using. So that kind of plugged those in, made it look cool, and that can be added or taken away from this guy if you want. I painted the gold parts silver here, so they matched kind of with everything else, the silver going on. The belt piece here, this is also from the Merciless, and I spray painted it with black vinyl fabric spray to make it black instead of the blue that it used to be. And I took the front of Baraka from Mortal Kombat, another McFarlane figure. I took his belt, cut it off, and fitted it right into the space here where the Merciless used to have his Spawn skull belt thing. So that's why these rivets are here holding this in place. I painted that black as well, added some silver accents. And hey, look at that. That skull that's in the front, it kind of looks like a bat skull when it's painted that way. Interesting. Interesting how that worked out. Pretty nice. These arms are untouched. They are from the Death Metal Batman as well, the one with the trench coat again. Same one I got this emblem from. Those just popped right in underneath there. Just remove the original Azrael arms and pop those ones in, and they just go right in there. The legs and waist are also from the Death Metal Batman figure with the trench coat. I just took those and actually then popped out the pegs here, and from the knees and shins down, it is Azrael Batman's armor again. I didn't want the boots that came on this guy. I thought they looked more like biker boots than anything cool, so I wanted this more to keep with the height and just the overall, shape of the figure. So those are transplanted in there, and you just pop the pegs out, pop them back in. There's a little bit of cutting I had to do in there to make them fit, but that was pretty easy and simple to figure out. In between these two layers, I did put a small piece of fabric that I just cut from an old shirt, just to hang down in there and sort of be like a cloth, like some armor would have in Monster Hunter sometimes. I also have attached to him up here with two little rivets, a cloth cape that is full-sized. It is the same pattern I typically always use for Batman figures of this size. It is a miniaturized version of the Batman Begins cape pattern. I really like that cape and the shape that it makes and the way that it drapes and folds up behind this guy especially. So I thought that worked out well and can lend itself to many different poses and articulation needs, having the cloth one instead of the fabric one. Here's a bit of a close-up on the head detail. I've added some slashes into that armor there and kept the red eyes. I thought they looked cool, but I added some slashes into there so it looks like a monster has slashed him on the helmet. And there's that flap around the back again. There's the bat skull. Well, there you have it. That's a figure I've been working on for a very long time, off and on, in between moving and all sorts of fun stuff. And now he's finally done, finally finished. I'm very happy to put this guy on the finished pile and be done with him, so I can start working on some new customs that I've already begun. and shooting videos for those guys. Hopefully they won't be as awkward, because apparently in the last year I have forgotten how to film these videos. I apologize for that. Either way, I hope you like everything you've seen here. If you have any questions about how I put this guy together, just let me know. Like I said, there was a lot of steps, a lot of pieces, a lot of figures went into this. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably don't want to even invest the money at this point to make this. I got all these figures as they came out, so they were retail at the time or even cheaper, getting them open on eBay. So at the time, wasn't that crazy to get these. Nowadays though, to get some of these parts, you might end up having to spend some money, especially for like merciless pieces. I don't know. So it's really up to you guys if you want to go that route to try to make something like this. You can use this build to make a whole bunch of different kinds of armored Batmans. You can make your own take on the Dark Knights of Steel. You can make your own take on like a Samurai Batman, what have you. I just thought he reminded me the most of Monster Hunter, so that's what I did. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope I explained enough of how I made this guy and showed enough of the pictures. And like I said, any questions, just let me know. We get back to those as soon as possible. Until next time, I am Dan, and this has been Void City Customs with Monster Hunter McFarlane Batman. I will see you next time.